So this week we're going to be looking at this person's palm. I've got the left and the right hand here. But first of all, I want to go over this palm that I looked at last week just to see what I got wrong and right. So I asked Terry where his article was so that I could kind of cross-reference it, see what I got wrong and right. He couldn't find it. So I typed in to Google T. Stokes genital health palmistry, and I found his old article. He wrote it in April 22, and it's a great little article. Have a look at it if you like. I'm just going to go over it quickly because there's quite a bit to get on with the palms that I want to look at this week. So I want to just go over the things I got wrong and right. I'm quite pleased overall. So number one, possible promiscuous outlook. I got that right. Number two, crooked Mercury. So I didn't really get this. I mean, I did get it right, but we see here sharp kink indicates early emotional molestation. Now, if you look at the just how low set Mercury is, you see there's a real drop, and that combined with the kink, it does indicate sexual abuse, and that explains that kind of destruction of the sexual sort of framework that I mentioned. So I didn't pick up on the specifics of that, but that it makes sense now reading that. Short index finger, classic inferiority complex, low self-esteem. Companies need to boost oneself with sexual conquest. I mentioned that. The gap between life and head, impulsiveness, lack of caution. I mentioned that as well. Headline deep into lunar. Not operating logically, imaginative. I mentioned these things, but I didn't mention. This is a difficult hand with its many fragmented lines and broken lifeline. Shows poor immune system, poor immune function, and poor health. I didn't mention that. I didn't pick up on that. But I did. What I did pick up on, which Terry didn't, is this line which from Venus, which leads, it points right up to Mercury and affects the Mercury line, and that's a sign of possible disease. And he does mention that same thing here, but he finds it drawing from a different sort of sign. And then at number 6, he mentioned the square at the bottom of the palm near the rosette, and he does sort of mention, unfortunately, this print doesn't show that rosette. So what I mean by that is the arch at the bottom, at the very base of the palm between Luna and Venus, and I always look for that for general health and longevity, immune system, vitality, because Venus is all about vitality. And so he mentions that he ends on a good note, really, just by saying that this box is protective, and at the base to the lifeline always tells of a positive end to the life with an emotional and economic security. It's a wonderful marketing. I just wish I saw it more often. So, and I love the way he always tends to end on a positive note. And sometimes it is very difficult when you're reading a person's palm to sort of balance out the information. So I didn't really get to the specifics of exactly what that problem was, and neither does Terry. I mean, overall, I said very, very similar things, and I'm very happy with what I came up with. I did miss the specifics behind the reasoning there, but that's okay. So yeah, very pleased with that, and now we're going to move on to this week's palm. So this person requested a reading. We're doing something a bit different this week, not just a case study from my mentor. I want to do readings for people in these weekly videos, So if you're watching and you'd like me to do a video on your palm and tell you all about you, send me clear pictures of your palms, fronts and backs. The fingernails and the backs of hands are really, really useful as well. And I will do you a reading. I don't need to know your name. Send it to the email in the description below, and maybe I'll do a video on your palm. So this person wanted to know, actually, a really nice question. Am I a good person? I don't really hear that very often. And in itself, I suppose if you're asking, I think it says a lot about, a person. And also they wanted to know about later on in life, if they were going to travel abroad, live abroad, make a great move. So the picture's quite sort of, it looks like these are really dirty hands, but I've adjusted the colours and contrast shadows and everything just to make it clear and easier to see the lines. So first of all, as always, I'm going to go over the shape of the palm, the finger leanings, and how this person has changed over time, and perhaps why. So the general sort of shape here is it is a rectangular palm, certainly, but it's got a very sort of squarish element to it, and these are long fingers. So this is a mixture of air and water. I would say more air than water. I mean, it's a fairly a good mixture of both here. So we've got a very sort of low set thumb, an adaptable, flexible thumb. We've got lots of logic. We have on the left palm, if you look at how the fingers are set, you can see, maybe, that Jupiter and Saturn are higher set than Apollo and Mercury. And it's sort of like on the left. Now the left is what we've been given, our secrets, our thoughts, and our right is what we make of it. So our left is how we sort of see ourselves, and the right is how others see us. They're sort of polar opposites in a way. So Jupiter and Saturn here, they're kind of allied with each other. The attributes of these, you've got Jupiter is all about decision making, authority, ego, ambition, and judgment, whereas Saturn is about hard work, lateral thinking, administration, moral values, hard work, being practical, putting those all those things into fruition. So you've got the two are combined here in a sort of joint effort. They're very straight, they're allied, they're not leaning towards each other, they're working with each other in the same direction, they're close to each other. And then you've got Apollo here, which is it's the environment, it's refined taste, it's creative abilities, it's feminine qualities, it's providing, and it's what else is it? It's about the appreciation for everything, natural or otherwise. It's the arts, and it's wealth and happiness. It's the sun in a person's life. So I'm not doing a very good job of explaining Apollo here, but it's more sort of feminine qualities. And then, Apollo is sort of on its own here, and Mercury leans away. Mercury being communication, skills, languages, expression, learning, calculation. And a big one is communication and expression with Mercury. So they're kind of on their own, and Apollo is sort of in the middle here. And I think really what this sort of spells out for this person is that this person on the left, what they've been given is this situation where work life and home are apart, they're distant. And so this person has a kind of conflict in their life at the moment, or perhaps this is what it was for them, because being the left, where there's not a balance, things are in a disarray. And then you've got on the right hand, things are more aligned now in the sense of work and home. And this is, I'm just going by what the natural kind of finger leanings are doing when you kind of put your hand down, and without thinking about it, these are where your fingers lean and lie and where they want to go. It's unconscious. We've got not a very long, but we have a long Mercury finger, and that's determined by it reaches above the first phalange of Apollo. So that's good. This person is a good communicator, strong communicator. Now on the left, you've got an ever such a slight kink in the soul of Mercury, if you like. And so that's on the left, and on the right, Mercury is straighter. So this person has, I would think, over time managed to learn how to express themselves and how to communicate better. So really, suppose that's the best way I can describe that. But the big thing for me that I noticed here was the difference in where the fingers are set. So here we've got this gentle sort of arch, whereas on the left it's it's straighter like this before the other two come down. And so what that really tells me is, and you can see it here, now Jupiter reaches, the tip of Jupiter reaches halfway onto Saturn. And this is how you determine a long Jupiter finger. That's a long Jupiter. So that's good. And then on the right here, you can see if this person put their two Jupiter and Saturn together, their first two fingers close together, yes, Jupiter would reach above Saturn, but Jupiter is actually shorter on the right hand than on the left. And that's why you've got this, where the two fingers are set here, they're both set straight, and then on the right hand, Jupiter's set lower. And that is a clear indication of a lack of confidence. This person, being the right hand, has now reduced confidence. And so that's how this person has changed over time. So yeah, that's the kind of general shape and the finger leanings out the way. I just want to mention that Saturn here is very straight. And if you look at where it kind of comes from, Saturn here is coming from Venus, coming from family, love, relationships. It's coming from a place of this person's hard work comes from a place of love, essentially. And then you've got on the left, Saturn initially came from a completely different area, the place of, it's almost lunar. It's basically lunar. It's Neptune, really, and it's similar to Luna. I mean, not much is known about Neptune, but this person wanted a career, and you can see this career line here comes from a place of, well, actually it comes from deep down in Luna here, look. And there's a little island there, and it drifts off towards in between Jupiter and Saturn. So this person, what they wanted for their career was something that was more creative, because it comes from Luna, a place of imagination, creativity, of dreams, of restlessness. It comes from a person who has a career in this area, stemming from this area, is a person with an audience, and it's generally working in a creative field, and often is supported by women for whatever reason. So that's what this person wanted, because this is the left hand now. And then at some point during late 20s, it seems that this other career picks up, and things become a bit difficult, and the idea of what's to come is uncertain. There's definitely a worry that things are going to get difficult, and it seems as though this person wants a career that's more in an authoritative field, perhaps. I'm uncertain. So that's the left hand. And then on the right, we see a career that is not, it's more from a place of hard work. So, and I just find it really interesting that you've got Saturn that's aligned with, that place of career that wanted to come from something more creative, and now it comes from a place of hard work and something that takes a bit more physicality, a bit more from the heart, from the body. And this person's career line on the right is a very different path. So we see here it still does come from lunar, but it lands up in more, it's more aligned with Saturn. It's aiming towards more Saturn. That's hard work. And again, you've kind of got a doubling of that career line, just late 20s there. So I'm not entirely certain if this is, sometimes when you've got a double career line like this, it is quite faint, but it is still there, and it's still there after the 50s as well. It's a hobby that runs alongside a person's career, and that's something that they want to have as a career. That's what they, it's a side project that they'd eventually like to turn into a career. That's what they want to do. And also what I noticed was it's quite faint, but you can sort of see this. You can see a potential success line there, stemming again from lunar. So I would watch out for this. This could be something stronger in later life. So I'm not 100% certain. So anyway, this person wants to know if they're a good person. Now, there's lots to say here on the subject. First of all, the thumb, this is where I'd look for a person's temperament. So this is logic and this is willpower. This person has a longer length of, well, actually it starts from here, logic than willpower. This is a very adaptable thumb. It's low set thumb. A person with a low set thumb is more inclined to be a humanitarian. A larger degree of logic than willpower shows someone who is willing to think before they act, willing to, they're more likely to get pushed around than do the pushing. So, already we're seeing signs that this is a decent person. The width of the palm is great, which shows Mars. This is Mars positive, the central plane of Mars, and Mars negative. A wide width a wide overall Mars like this is someone that would make a good police officer or a judge or a lawyer, because they have a good overall understanding of people. And especially being an air hand as well, they're good at judging and weighing up the facts before delivering that judgment. Also, speaking of judgment, Jupiter leans towards a very straight Saturn. So their moral values are, this person has found themselves, so to speak. They know what's right and wrong. They know what they want out of life, and they probably have a good idea of what's best for others as well. Jupiter being decision and judgment and authority and ambition and ego, it leans towards the moral compass. That's a good thing. So Mercury is straight, healthy. Also, the heart line. Here we have an overlapping heart line. It's not a break, it's an overlap, big difference. And this person's heart line begins between Saturn and Jupiter. So all of these things I've mentioned combined shows clearly a picture of a person who is overall good, is a very good person. I would also want to look at the fingernails and the backs of the palms. There's more here to say, I suppose, but overall it's very easy to sum up and just say here that this is a decent person. Secondly, this person wanted to know if they would travel in later life. So a lifeline that ends as far away as this one, it sort of ends in the middle of the palm. So if I can just show you, so this palm, for instance, you can see the lifeline here, it wraps around underneath the thumb and it actually ends up underneath the thumb. This is a person who will live and die in their native land, whereas this person, their lifeline, both on the left and right, ends further away. So you've got a person here who, let's see, on the right, it's more accurate to look on the right, and it is a bit difficult to see here, but you can see the lifeline ends further away. Also, and this is cool, you've got here at the roughly, and when I first looked at this palm, I came up with the age of 47. I'm still not certain. Dating events on lines is a murky business in palmistry. It's a very difficult one. But certainly at late 40s, I would say, anywhere between 47 to 49. This person has an event here. Whoop, that's terrible. And it moves towards Luna. And as I've said, Luna is a place of dreams and restlessness. And this here is an incredibly strong restless line, sometimes known as travel lines. And so is this. And this to me suggests that at that age of 47 to 49, you've got here a big move, far away, and it's not the easiest of moves. There's more to it than just packing your bags and leaving. There's quite a lot of work involved here. And at that same time in this person's life, at the age of around 50, or late 40s, this person's headline takes quite a great shift in how this person's outlook, should we say. And the headline actually doubles towards the end. I'm not doing a very good job with my lines here. The headline doubles here. And what this shows me, I think, is double headlines are very common in air hands. Air hands are quite restless people in their minds. They're always working on something in their minds. And in fact, an air hand quite typically rests by doing something, keeping their minds occupied. So a person air hand with a double headline, it quite often will, whilst they're watching TV, they're playing on a game on the phone. The way they rest on their days off is by just continually playing chess. That's a very typical sort of air hand with a double headline. And I think that's what this person does. But I would think that after that age of around 50, this person changes their career and does something that stimulates their minds in a way that serves them better than they are right now. So I'm hoping, because you see here the career line, it's doubled all the way from 30, and it kind of wants to curve around back into Apollo here. So that's a really nice sign. It is pointing that way, Apollo being creativity. So I'm thinking when this person makes this massive move abroad, which they will, their career changes, they pursue a path that is more stimulating, satisfying, and is more of what they wanted to do. So there we go. I've answered the 2 questions there. Now getting back to the double heart line. So really I should have started at the beginning of this person's life. I would say around from the age of around 4 to 6, this person was hospitalized. I'd like to know if I'm right about that. And I think it's related to health, because this it's not a double heart line necessarily, it's an overlap. And this overlap is it doesn't show necessarily a severe health emergency, but it does show a health problem, and it's quite common. I see it quite a lot. I think this is it's a heart irregularity, and what else? The double lifeline. So this person has, if you look here, the lifeline is doubled, and this is very common with people who have a partner who earns far more and supports them financially. It's not always a partner. Sometimes it's a trust fund. Parents are supporting financially. A lot of people think a double lifeline is like a double life, but it's generally speaking, it's financial aid, and it's quite often a partner that earns more money and supports. So that's that. Also, this person has an interest in the occult. That's a Solomon's ring here. So that's cool. And another thing, this person is very skillful. We've got some skills here, and we've got a slight line that comes across. That's a healing stigmata. That's very often seen in doctors and nurses and social workers, well, good ones, support workers, and that sort of thing. Not always, in fact. Sometimes it's just people who care and do a lot of charity work. It's people who do well give to others. And that's in line with the hard work that comes from the heart. So overall here, these are good things. I don't want to end on a negative note, but there are some potential health problems in mid-60s onwards. And these are related to, and we can see here the problem, to the major organs, and it might well be heart related. So I would strongly advise this person to avoid caffeine, avoid smoking, avoid alcohol, all the kind of typical things a doctor would say, regular exercise. What else? Hawthorn, Hawthorn, Hawthorn berry regulates, does it? I can't remember. Let me just have a look. So yeah, I often get confused with this one. So hawthorn regulates blood pressure. If you take the natural extract, in its sort of purest form. If you have high blood pressure, it brings it down. If you have low, it brings it up. So it regulates it in a way that actually no other pharmaceutical can. It also reduces cholesterol. So that's great stuff. Strongly recommend taking supplements for B vitamins as well. I mean, there's no point me saying this to the average user really, but these are the sorts of things I would suggest, among other things which I'm going to suggest to this person. So there we go. That's this person. I'm going to see what I got right next week and have a little chat about that, because I'm going to talk with this person. There's also here, and I do want to end now, but Jupiter has a smaller second phalange on the right palm than on the left. So I'm going to have a little look at that in the meantime and cover that next week as well. But there we go. That's everything for now, I think. I hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, check out next week to find out how I did. Thanks for watching.